Welcome to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. We believe life is about how we react. I'm Kyle Bryant. And I'm Sean Bombsark. Together, we are constantly seeking opportunities to live beyond our circumstances.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. This is episode 57.
What?
Sean, what's up today?
How's it going?
Good, man.
I don't know what's up. Just it's another day on the podcast.
There we go. Good stuff. Well, I'm super excited today because our guest on the podcast has a really unique story of overcoming circumstances. And that's what we're all about. It isn't necessarily, in this case, about disability, but it's definitely about overcoming some circumstances. So Sarah Dodd comes from a small town in Arkansas. In like many small rural settings, many people stay close to home and the horizon is not far beyond the edge of town. Sarah came from a rough family background with an alcoholic father who spent 14 years in jail due to drug offenses. It seemed like Sarah's circumstances were going to determine her future, but at age 14, Sarah decided to start living beyond her circumstances. She realized she had the opportunity to change her own trajectory and create the life she always wanted. So she started traveling the world with the goal of visiting every country. And she has made significant progress on that goal so far. She's based in Spain, and we're connecting with her via Skype. Welcome to the show, Sarah. We're so
What's
glad
up,
to
Sarah?
have you.
I'm so excited. So excited to be here.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm doing really well. It's a little cold here in Spain, but that's okay. I have a heater at my feet right now. So if you hear any noise, it's because I have this heater. It's so cold here for me.
Great. So any quality audio issues, we're going to blame on Sarah's heater.
It's the way to go.
Perfect.
Sarah, earlier, right before we started recording, you were telling us about what you were doing today. I want to hear that again. I love that.
I have been cooking all day because tomorrow I'm getting ready to go on national television for a 5-day program, and it has over about 1 million, between 1 million and 1.5 million viewers every single day for the show. It's a night show, one of the popular ones here in Spain, and I'm going to be cooking, having people in my home, and I'm also going to be going to other people's homes. So I have to be a little bit creative in my cooking style and be a little bit critical of other people's cooking styles. It's kind of a cool type of reality show that I never thought I would be doing, but here I am.
Nice.
Yeah, and tell the truth. Are you good at cooking?
Not so much. Okay, I'm not terrible. Well, yeah, I'm pretty terrible, but that's okay. I'm practicing.
Yeah, and it's all about having fun doing it.
It's all about having fun, and it's about the connections you meet with people. And I mean, I'm getting to try like 5 different new plates every single day in people's homes with a party. It's going to be really, really fun. I'm looking forward to it.
So Kyle says you're from Arkansas, but you're currently based in Spain. Is that home for you right now?
Yeah, Spain is home for me. I live in Zaragoza, Spain. I'm traveling the world, and when I'm not traveling, I am here. And all of my family's in Arkansas. When I have a lot of different family in other places, but my main family is in Arkansas, Mountain Home, Arkansas.
Nice.
And
Isn't there a song about Mountain Home?
Not one song in the world is about Arkansas.
I think that's West Virginia, man.
Okay. Well, whatever.
No,
Sarah,
it's Sweet Home, Alabama.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
That's the one.
It's not Arkansas.
Sarah, you said you were going home for the first time in a while. How long has it been since you've been home?
Years. I don't know, over 2 years. So I'm looking forward to it. It's been a long time since I've seen my family. I mean, this time last year I was going to Africa, South Africa, and I spent Christmas in South Africa. So all away from my family and friends. So I can't wait to see them and hug them for the first time. It will be
nice. Nice. Cool. So give us a glimpse of who you are. Obviously, you just said you're traveling the world, and when you're not traveling, you're in Spain. Tell us a little bit about that story. Like, who are you and what are you all about?
My name is Sarah, but people on the internet and in the world know me as the Nomadic Dreamer, which just shows that I am nomadic, means I don't have a set home, and I'm a dreamer. Since I was a young girl, I've always had a lot of dreams. So I made this name for myself, which is Nomadic Dreamer. And it's been an amazing experience because I have followers from all around the world that follow me on this exciting journey across the globe. And yeah, I mean, I left my small town with just the plans to come over here in Spain and stay for a couple of months. And then a couple of months turned into 6, and then 6 turned into 12. And then after 1 year, I just said, I'm not going to put any more time frames. And here I am almost 5 years later.
Wow.
That's amazing. Well, considering where you came from, and, this was something that you told me was kind of the crux of your story is where you came from and where you are now. And we're so inspired by your story. How far are you on your quest to visit all the countries of the world?
I am halfway through, but I got in a motorcycle accident over in June when I was in Thailand. And because of the accident, I had to return back to Spain and get surgery. I got my collarbone operated on. And if anyone's ever broken their collarbone, they will understand the pain and suffering that one has to go through, because you really do use your collarbone for a lot of things. So I had to come back here and get surgery. I'm in recovery right now. I'm going to rehabilitation every week. And so I'm halfway through. If it weren't for the accident, I would have arrived to 100 countries by now. But everything happens for a reason. And I've learned a lot during this time of being back in Spain and not traveling.
I see. So how many countries are there in the world?
That's a good question. Everyone says when I say I'm at 91 countries right now. I'm almost to 100. And so when I tell people that, they're like, well, that's it. And I'm like, that's it. No, there's 196 official countries in the world. Some of them are very, very difficult for me to get to, almost impossible right now, which are like North Korea, Libya, Yemen, and places like that. But hopefully things will get better over the years so I can travel to some of these places that are banned for me right now.
I was going to guess 187, so I don't feel like I'm that dumb, because I wasn't that far off. I was only missing, nine countries in the world?
Some people think that there's 100 countries, and then I say, no, think again. It's not 100. And they're like, okay, 300. And I'm like, okay, there's a big difference. So, yeah.
My best, the first thing that popped in my head, to be honest, was 250. So I was a little bit off, but yeah.
Well, there are some independent places like Taiwan that is not considered a country, but it looks like a country because it's over there by itself, and many people travel there. There's a lot of places that are not actually countries, but people count it as countries. So.
Nice.
So, real quick, what's the purpose for traveling? Just to see and experience the world, or was there something else that pushes you to check off every country on your list?
Really, it's just something that I came over here thinking, I was just, because I'm a nurse. So I was working as a nurse in the United States, and I came over here, like I said, and I was just like, oh, I'm going to stay for a little while. But I started traveling alone in 2015. But before 2015, it was my biggest fear in the world to go out there and travel. So I would never do it. And then in 2015, I said, that's it. I'm going to go explore the world and I'm going to travel. I started in Spain and I went hitchhiking. I hitchhiked over 200 different across northern Africa and all through Europe. And during this trip, I spent $1,000 visiting 25 countries during 6 months. And, you know, I realized, wow, like, this is an amazing experience. I mean, I was just like a young backpacker at the time and I didn't really know what I was doing, but it was such an empowering experience. And then I said, you know what, that's not it. That's not all. I want to keep going. So then I got the courage to go to Asia and then South America, Central America, Africa. Wow. And I'm like, I love this. And I love inspiring people through this. So it's kind of become an addiction for me.
So I just will paint a picture for our listeners just to be safe in case any of them aren't following you on Instagram or your escapades. You just said you were a young backpacker, and just for our listeners' sake, I'm staring at Sarah on the Skype camera. I've never met her. She looks like she's barely 23. She is, and not to make this awkward, Sarah, but a very beautiful young lady, blonde hair, just super, just light-skinned. But here you are going out and hitchhiking all over other countries, and you're totally fine doing this on your own. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay, that was when I was 23 years old. I'll be 30.
So last year. Wow, okay.
I just turned 29, so, okay. You know, I'm always telling people I'm almost 30, and I'm like, wait, I just turned 29. But whatever. So that was a long time ago for me. I mean, think about it. When you're traveling across the world, like, this difference between 23 and 30 is huge. Sure. Like, the change that I've made in my heart, in my soul, in my life during these years of traveling is just the person back in the day. I just don't even recognize that girl. But now I am way more careful. I'm not a backpacker anymore. I don't go around with a backpack and just go hitchhiking anymore because I care more about my safety than I did back then. I said, nothing can happen to me. I'm okay. And then nothing did happen to me, though, during the time of hitchhiking. Wow. It was actually when I got a little bit older, like in the last couple of years, and I started traveling to more risky countries that I have had bad experiences, people running up and putting guns to my head to rob me or things like that. But that was my fault, too, because there are countries you should not be walking around talking on the phone, especially if you have an iPhone 7. At the time, it was an iPhone 7. So there are things you just shouldn't do. So, but, you know, people think that the world is a bad and big, scary place. But I have found so many blessings and amazing people. So I don't have this fear of the world.
So you talked about the gun to your head and maybe that was it, but what's the scariest or craziest situation you've ever been in traveling?
Well, that would probably be one of the top ones. Oh my goodness, it was horrifying. I mean, having the gun put right to my head was just an experience that just absolutely just horrified me. Apart from that, I got deported. And that was probably my worst experience. It was my worst nightmare, actually. I was deported from Europe over miscommunication. I couldn't communicate. I was in Italy, and I got deported, got an X put in my passport and sent out. And then they locked me up in jail and everything. In the end, it was not my fault. And I did get residency in Spain in the end. But I could not, there was a major language barrier that prohibited me from explaining my case. And the immigration officer was just not nice. And he sent me out without giving me any time to explain. Sent me to the Ukraine.
So, sorry, I totally glossed over this. Tell us a little more detail about the story with the gun to your head, because I think that's probably worth telling, maybe?
Yeah, the gun to my head was a situation where I was in Central America, which is where everyone says do not go, in the fourth most dangerous city in the world, which is, I don't know if I should say it, but I'll say it anyways, is San Salvador. And anyways, I was walking down the street talking with my mom on the phone, was not having a very good day of traveling anyways. And then all of a sudden I looked up and there was a man that jumped off the back of a motorcycle. Other guy was driving, all in black, ran up to me as fast as he could, put the gun to my head, robbed me, and then left. Luckily,
Wow.
I didn't have my passport stolen or anything, because for me, the passport is worse than anything for me. That's my baby. If they steal my baby, I'm done.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
that's pretty gnarly.
How if you're in the middle of traveling so much and hitchhiking and doing whatever, how or where do you keep your passport safe? Was that on you, or like back in a safe hotel or something?
No, really, whenever I was hitchhiking, I just had it with me. No one robbed me when I was hitchhiking. But now, like I said, I go by airplanes, I go by buses, I go by trains now. So there is a little bit less risk, but I don't do anything special with it. I just have it in my bag. I always try to make sure it's not in my luggage because my luggage is so big, but my backpack, I keep it there.
Mm.
Luckily, nothing has been stolen. My passport has not been stolen.
So, I want to dig a little bit into, living beyond your circumstances. Going back, can you tell us a little bit about the town you grew up in and why? You told me in a phone call, or I think it was over WhatsApp, but you said that you could have felt kind of stuck in that town in the situation you were in, and it was statistically it was very unlikely that you would make anything of yourself or whatever. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, I come from a small town in Mountain Home, Arkansas, and the people, live by this routine. You should do this and you should do that. You should go to school, then you should go to college, and then you should find a boyfriend, and then you should graduate and then get married, have your kids, do this. It's a should. Everyone lives that way. And, in my town, many people were married by the time they were 20 years old, having kids by the time they were 20. And, many people told me throughout my life, like kids that come from like an alcoholic background with at least one of their parents that are alcoholics, they're more than 50% likely to become that way themselves. And so I heard this, and I had cousins that were alcoholic, drug dealers. Right now my cousins, I have a lot of them that got involved in drugs and that are not making anything of their life. And so, I had this like idea when I was younger that I didn't have a choice, that this was just a genetic thing and I was going to be this way. But then when I was younger, when I was about 14 years old, someone told me, you know what? You have the opportunity to create your life and your future. The decision is yours. Go out and create it. And then I said, wow, you know what? I'm going to do it. So at 16 years old, I graduated from high school 1 year early. I went 2,000 miles across the country to Florida, went to college, got away from my environment. I had no money. I did get a little scholarship. I took out a loan, got into a lot of student loan debt, and then ended up getting a job and paying 100% of it off, and then moving to Spain.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's a big summary. That's my short summary.
And all of that in about 13 years.
All of that in about 13 years. Yeah, but I was determined to be different. I was determined that I was not going to be another statistic of someone that says, my father's this way, I have to be this way. My cousins are this way, I have to be this way. No, we have a choice. We can create this life that we want, but it's in our hands, and it's not genetic. We are the creators of our future.
Now, Sarah, before we started recording, you also were telling Kyle and I that you have a couple of speaking gigs coming up this week. So I imagine that little blurb that we just heard from you is probably a part of your message from a main stage. Can you talk to us a little bit about how the public speaking works for you and what your overall message might be?
My overall message is different for every speech that I give, but my main thing is to tell people it's not about luck. This life that I have for myself, traveling the world and speaking engagement, I'm not a lucky person. I don't come from a rich background. I don't have rich parents. I don't have a bunch of luck that I don't even know what people think luck is anyways. But it's all about decisions and knowing exactly what you want and fighting for it. You know, I have to wake up and do things every single day that I don't want to do because I believe in life. Growth comes from doing the things each and every day with just being constant in all of this, doing the things that we don't necessarily want to do to create good results for our life. And so that's what I do with my life. And so in my messages, I try to encourage people and inspire people, not by telling them what they need to do with their life, because there's a lot of people that do that. My goal is to share my own personal experience, and I hope that they become inspired to take action on their own life. I don't need to tell people what to do. People know exactly what they need to do. They just don't want to do it. People know that if they're overweight, they need to get up and they need to go to the gym, but they don't do it. I know that I have to get up and I have to go to the gym at 7 o'clock in the morning, go work out, do my meditation, and create positive environments for myself if I want to go out and create a good life for myself. But it's not a question of luck. It's just hard work and knowing what you want.
I read a quote the other day from somebody on social media. Said something like, good things come to the people who do, not to the people who wait. It's not about sitting around and waiting for good things to happen. It's about going out and creating the opportunities to do those good things and to build your own life. One of my favorite authors and speakers is Erwin McManus, and he refers to people like you and I, or maybe more so like you, as a futurist. Not somebody that dreams about the future, but somebody that creates the future. I love what I hear coming from you, sir. I'm so glad you're here today.
Yeah, that's, I am my public name, like I said, is Nomadic Dreamer, but I'm not one of these dreamers that sits around and says, oh, I would love to travel the world. I would love to do all this. I'd love to pay off my debt. I would love to be just financially free and have an amazing life for myself. It's not about dreaming. Yes, dreaming is very, very important, and that's the first stage. But dreaming without action is useless. You have to take action and stop just dreaming and hoping for a good future.
So maybe we should call you Nomadic Doer? Is that?
Thinking about changing my public name to because this idea of dreaming, people always say, I'm dreaming big, I have bucket lists, and I have this and I have that. I'm like, yeah, but what steps are you taking to reach this? Yeah. What are you doing? And they're like, well, I'm looking on Instagram and they're living vigorously through other people. And that's what people do is like many people sit on the sidelines and just with fear, watching everyone else live their dream life. Like they know what they want, but they watch other people do it. And I love it because people live through me. They do. They travel the world through my experiences. And it's great, but it also makes me sad at the same time because there's so many people that are like, oh, I wish I would have done this. Oh, I wish I would have the courage to do this. And I'm like, yeah, but you have to take action. My life is always outside of my comfort zone. I live outside of my comfort zone and it's so uncomfortable. I have so many bad days. It's not even funny. I have so many days where I'm like, oh my God, I can't do it. I can't do it. And if I let my mind get the best of me, I will be in the bed all day long thinking it's impossible. But I have to train my mind to be like, no, you are a winner. You can do it. But it's not easy. I am not perfect. And I have a lot of bad days of where my mind gets the best of me, especially when it gets close to like a big speaking engagement where I'm speaking in Spanish, a language that I just learned a couple of years ago. I think, oh my gosh, I can't do this. 2,000 people in a speaking engagement, I can't do this. In Spanish, I can't do it. Oh my gosh. But then you just say, you know what? I can do it. I am a winner.
I love it.
I love it.
So, Sarah, what's next for you? And specifically, what happens when you reach 196 countries?
Oh my gosh. 196 will be probably when I'm about 35 or 36 years old. Because
man, that's really old. Sean, what do you think?
very,
Wow. I hope you're still walking at 35 or 36.
No, I mean, I'll still be young and everything because that's nothing. 35, 36 is so young.
Yeah, climb out of that hole. Go ahead.
I believe age is all just in the head. It's really, I know people that are literally, they're 28 years old and they act like they're 70. And I know 70-year-olds that act like they're 20. So it's all about that. But
yep.
I don't have any rush to reach that goal because it's not like this goal that I have, I'm focused on this, like I'm rushing to it. My goal right now is to slow down because I've been rushing up until this point. My goal is to slow down and enjoy the journey and not just the destination. And I know people hear that all the time and they're like, yeah, but it's really true. We have to take time and enjoy when I'm writing a book, not just publishing a book, but when I'm writing it, the times in which I'm creating content, when I'm just walking through Zaragoza, the city that I live in, which is, it's a normal sized city, but just being here and not focusing on, I have to go to Tokyo or I have to go to another country. No, like adventure is right here, right now, right where we are.
Awesome. Love that. So, Sarah, before we go, was there anything else you wanted to share? Any other projects coming up that we should be looking out for and following you on?
Oh my gosh, there's a lot of new things. I'm going to be, like I said, traveling to 100 countries soon. I have a book that is getting ready to be published. I can't tell you when. It's one of those things you have to face your fears as well because you put a book out there and you're up for rejection. So you have to overcome that. So I'm still in the process of overcoming that fear.
Is this your first book?
Yes, it will be my first book. I have another book created as well, but it's still in the process of being made. But it's just one of those overcoming the fears things. Speaking engagements, book writing, and television shows, things like this. I'm just trying to go through whatever door comes my way. I'm just going through the doors. I don't know. People ask me where I'm going to be in 5 years, and I'm like, I have no idea. I'm just going through the doors, and I will see what happens. And just having a positive attitude and knowing that every door leads to something really interesting. So I'm just being open because I don't have a set path. I don't want a set path. I don't want it.
Love it.
So no little house with the picket fence and 3 little kids on the horizon.
I would burn down a picket fence. Don't give me a picket. No. It's gone. Like that's what but you guys have to understand. If you would get on my Pinterest, that I don't use Pinterest anymore, but if you would get on my Pinterest, you would be like, oh, this girl is just crazy because my Pinterest before moving to Spain was all about my dream house, my picket fence, my wedding rings, my wedding dress, my beautiful wedding, all of this stuff. And it all changed being here. I don't want that stuff anymore. And it's okay. I'm not saying it's bad for the people that have it, but I don't want the white picket fence. I want to be nomadic and I want to live abroad. And so I love my country, but this country is literally amazing. I love Spain.
That's awesome. I know Kyle was starting to wrap up, but I do have a question for you. Earlier in the recording, you talked about, the big gap between being a 23-year-old and a 29-year-old. There's a lot of life to learn and experience and a lot of growth that happens in those years. Tell us, what is something that comes to mind that has been a significant life lesson for you?
Everything. Well, every travel has taught me something, because I used to be a racist, very religious person that judged everyone. I mean, I didn't have any I'll just say different type of friends from other cultures, backgrounds. And I lived one way, and I was very set in my way. And I just thought everyone else was wrong and I was the right one. So I would say the biggest change was couch surfing, because I have couch surfed. It's a website where you stay in local people's homes across the globe. I have stayed with over 200 families, different families. And I'm talking like, I don't go to hotels. I do a little bit more now because I do a lot of work now. So I go to conferences and I don't stay in people's homes. But until just last year, I was couch surfing in every country, staying with different families. And people just showed me so much kindness, so much hospitality. And I learned the kindness and just the authenticity of the people in the world. And I think this experience has really changed me to be more loving and open to the people. And I'm obviously not racist anymore, but that has been the biggest shift in my life, was that, and just overcoming just breaking these barriers in my mind towards the world and thinking it's a big, bad, scary world and the people are bad and they're out to get me. No, it's not that way.
Sarah, you mentioned couch surfing. I understand you stayed with our friend Jacob, who also has Friedreich's ataxia. What a crazy coincidence. What's up with that?
Okay, I'm going to just say that I stayed with him for like 5 days or 6 days in Austria. And I think when I saw your picture together on Instagram, I fell out of my chair and I was like, what in the world? I called over my friend and I was like, they're friends. I'm like, what in the whole world? Because he inspired me. He really did inspire me. I mean, oh my gosh, just the way he lived, his determination to just create something amazing for his life, to walk all across the city, to walk to Machu Picchu, to do all of this with the situation that he was given. Like, many people would just fall apart. They would have said, you know what, life is unfair. Life did this to me. I just can't go on anymore. I'm going to lose the ability to walk. I'm going to eventually become this way. And he said, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to go out and I'm going to live my life. And if something happens in the future and I'm not able to walk, I'll deal with it when I get there. But until then, I don't want to know the symptoms. I don't want to know what everyone else says about the disease. I'm going to go live a badass life. And that's what he did. And so I saw a picture and I was like, this guy, this is freaking me out. I mean, he inspired me. And then also doing the interview with you, like, I was so inspired by your story. And then I was like, wow, I don't even know, like, what a small, small world. Like, it's just, we're all connected. That's the great thing. It's like, we're all connected. People think it's this big, disconnected world, but we are all connected. And when we realize that, we can find love for each other because we're all in this together.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of, when you start making connections with people that are different from you, I think you begin to understand what compassion is and can be all about, because you start realizing that they're just as human as you are, even though their background may be completely different. And I love the way you phrase it in terms of breaking the barriers. And I think that's important in any walk of life, whether it's a disability or it's the statistics are stacked against you because of your hometown or your family upbringing or your religion or your race or whatever it may be, your financial status. And when you get to a point where you say, you know what, despite all of that, I'm still going to do something cool. I'm still going to break some barriers, and I'm going to create a fantastic life for me and for those around me. What an incredible message, and what an incredible way to go through life.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'm just so inspired by my encounter with him on couch surfing because, you know, he was given this bad news, but he wasn't focused on that bad news. He was focused on all the things that he has in his life right now to be grateful for. And I think that's something that is so important for us as humans is to, there could be 5,000 good things in our life, but we focus on, we make this huge problem with this one little thing. And when there's so many things to be thankful for, and I find myself in this, I'm like, oh, I had such a bad day. And then I think about it, I'm like, wait, I just had one bad moment. Really, there was a lot of good things that happened today. And so I think sometimes it's about training our mind and being like, no, we have to focus on all the good things we have in our life and just say, okay, we're having a moment, but it's a moment. It's usually just a moment. Or in our life, maybe we have one bad thing going on in our life, but oh my gosh, we have so many things to be thankful for. The fact that we have eyes to see each other, ears to hear, we have the ability to communicate, we have the ability to love, we have the ability to feel. All of these things are things that every one of us have, most of us have, and we should be so grateful for that.
I love it. So where do people find you? How do people connect with you, Sarah?
The Nomadic Dreamer. Put it in on Instagram, Facebook, put it in on YouTube, whatever, and Nomadic Dreamer, and people can find me there. It's pretty easy. I don't think there's any other Nomadic Dreamer out there.
Beautiful. All right,
and
Sarah.
nomadicdreamer.com is the website.
I'm sorry?
The nomadicdreamer.com.
The nomadicdreamer.com. Got it. All right. Sarah Dodd, the Nomadic Dreamer, we are just so grateful that you gave us some of your time today. We wish you the best on all of your future stuff, and I know we're going to be in touch, and we'll stay connected. So thanks so much for being here today. We really appreciate your story.
Well, thank you so much, and I would love to come back here in the future, especially after I reach those 196 countries.
Yeah.
A little bit more.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Sarah. We'll keep you on our bring back in the future list.
Yep. I'm so excited.
And right now, I think you're the only one on that list.
Yay, perfect.
We need to make that list. Yeah.
No offense to anybody else. So I'm not saying you're not on the list. I'm just saying that list doesn't really exist yet.
Yeah.
We just started it.
Yeah, we'll just start today.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
All right.
Sarah, thanks so much. Good luck this week. Have a great time.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. Find us online at twodisableddudes.com and please subscribe on the iTunes. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Special thanks to our production team, Jake Tompkins and Matt LaFleur. Until next time, keep living with urgency.